Part 90. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 894. But at this moment. At the critical moment, a terrifying and heavy suction force suddenly shot out from the area where Jia Yan was standing. Boom. On the entire battlefield, an ancient behemoth appeared like lightning. It covered the sky with one hand and enveloped the entire world in applause. Hey, high in the sky, the huge monster was startled, then smiled faintly. It turns out that this young man actually has such a backup plan. Fortunately, I thought that the things in the space that time were the means of some semi-stellar powerhouse, but they were actually his. In the battle circle, an irresistible force appeared in the space in front of Jia Yan. A gap appeared in this space, and the scalp-numbing power emerged from it. The emergence of this power caused the attacking giant elephant monster to appear stunned. Then the foot he stepped out was sucked away by the huge suction force and deviated from the direction of the attack. Boom, boom, boom. A series of extremely heavy stamping forces erupted directly around Jia Yan, causing boulders to fly on the field. This force even affected the surrounding Banhung contestants. They couldn't help but use their brainwave power to resist this force. Strength. The target of the attack, Jia Yan, was not hit. At this time, he suddenly bounced his body. Puff. A small wound appeared on the thigh of the giant elephant monster. The wound was caused by Jia Yan's sharp blue forefoot. The giant elephant monster was shocked and took a few steps back quickly. Even though he was huge, his speed was not slow at all. What is this huge suction? He didn't care about the wound, it was just a small injury. What shocked him even more was Jia Yan's power that caused his inevitable blow to fail. Black hole, don't you know me, senior? After Jia Yan's attack, he returned to a place dozens of kilometers away. He was also a little shocked by the defensive power of this giant elephant creature. Black hole? The giant elephant was a little stunned. How could it be a black hole? Who can use the power of a black hole? He must be bragging. But I feel that Jia Yan's use of this gravity power did not consume much of his own strength. What exactly is it? Every audience and contestant was equally shocked. Jia Yan's strength is indeed that of a terrifying venerable. He can even fight with a half-star strong man to a certain extent. A weaker one might even be defeated by him. They all recognized Jia Yan's strength, but the combat weapons used this time left them confused. Is this really a black hole? One of the contestants looked at the battle on the field and suddenly shook his head. No. If Jia Yan can use the power of the black hole, let alone us, even if he wants to run rampant among the geniuses in the entire genius battlefield, it will not be too big. That's a problem, but his attack is simply not in line with the black hole's overbearing power. That's right, it's not a black hole at all. Jia Yan looked around at the astonished faces, then smiled from the bottom of his heart and generously told the secret of his artificial black hole. I can't control the power of black holes, so this thing of mine is just a simulation. It turned out to be a simulation. It scared me. One by one, the creatures quickly accepted this statement. If Jia Yan really masters a certain black hole, if he uses the terrifying power of the black hole, among other things, then the entire powerful force will be defeated. Not only this star, but also the headquarters of several major stars around it will be swallowed together. Now that Jia Yan has explained that it is not a real black hole, the surrounding creatures feel relieved. And they also understand, what kind of strength is Jia Yan? It is impossible for a venerable master to control a black hole. Even if a star-level person wants to control a black hole, it is impossible in their opinion. Jia Yan, you are cheating again. Don't worry, this is his trick. Beside the auditorium, the half-star creature from the Naertian forces shouted loudly, as if discrediting Jia Yan was what he wanted to do most at this time. Fake. The giant elephant monster suddenly became clear after hearing these words. Regardless of what Jia Yan used, his goal now is to defeat Jia Yan. In this battle, he felt that he had offended Jia Yan, so he might as well keep offending him. If there was any chance to kill Jia Yan in the battle, he would not hesitate. War. The giant elephant attacked again. Accompanying him in his actions was his huge brainwave power. As Jia Yan stood on the spot, he once again felt a terrifying force of environmental control suppressing him. It's difficult for me to get rid of your brainwave power with my own strength, but I can also restrict your actions. Jia Yan recited the sentence silently, and then a terrifying suction force appeared next to him again. The giant elephant monster that attacked was once again caught off guard and was directly pulled away by the force. Hateful. The giant elephant monster roared fiercely, and the body that had just been deflected attacked again. He is not slow, but how can he move faster than Jia Yan's brainwave power? The power of brainwaves is essentially just a thought. With a thought, Jia Yan once again opened the subspace where he was trapped in the artificial black hole. Boom! On the field, the whole world was changing. The huge elephant monster was almost pulled by gravity and fell down in embarrassment. Jia Yan, I don't believe you can always use this level of power. The giant elephant still doesn't believe that Jia Yan is borrowing the power of the black hole. He thinks that Jia Yan is using some kind of conversion move with brainwave power. The space is twisted into gravity. In this case, it is impossible for Jia Yan's brainwave power of the master level to be used continuously for long. He attacks again. But what made him despair was that the gravity seemed to have not weakened at all, and once again sucked his attack in a different direction. Jia Yan, on the other hand, followed the direction of gravity and dodged a little distance leisurely. He was calm and composed, and even bystanders could see that Jia Yan really didn't seem to use much power. What others don't know is that when Jia Yan uses the power of this artificial black hole, he only needs to open and close the subspace. The power consumed is not worth mentioning compared to the attacking giant elephant monster. Attacked again and again, the giant elephant monster, which did not believe in evil, seemed to be unable to bear it anymore and showed a weak posture. You. He was on the ground, looking at Jia Yan with a hint of fear in his eyes. He never imagined that a venerable person could really torture him, a top -20 semi-star genius, to such an extent. You have no strength, right? Then it's my turn to attack. Seeing that the opponent's strength was greatly weakened, Jia Yan moved his mind and flicked his 6 long legs, flying lightly towards the giant elephant monster. Don't even think about it. When the giant elephant monster saw Jia Yan's approach, it perked up and began to use its power to control the environment. But he felt that the formation was weak and its strength was no longer stronger than before. And at this moment, a familiar attraction appeared beside the giant elephant monster. Boom boom boom. In heaven and earth, 2 major forces are confronting each other. The body of the giant elephant monster was pulled by the gravity from behind. He was originally able to resist this force, but now he was unable to resist due to exhaustion. His main focus was on resisting the power of the black hole, but Jia Yan, who was approaching lightly in front of him, could only look at him, come to the front, and then lift up his front feet. Puff! With one stab, it could only penetrate the skin of some giant elephant monsters. After all, he is a terrifying semi-star genius, and the giant elephant monster's defense is terrifyingly high. But Jia Yan was not discouraged. Anyway, the giant elephant monster could not fight back for the time being, so he simply attacked one after another. Asshole! The giant elephant monster looked at Jia Yan, who was constantly attacking above him, and wanted to fight back, but the dark space crack behind his body continued to release power, attracting his main energy, making him unable to fight back at all. And Jia Yan's control of the man-made black hole is not without any cost. To know that controlling such a terrifying object is also an extremely heavy burden on his control power. It is visible to the naked eye. The whole space shook a little. But this shaking was still far from exhausting Jia Yan. At least he was slowly slicing the giant elephant monster, and Jia Yan would not be in danger of exhaustion before the opponent died. Ah! When Jia Yan attacked again and Lan Yu's front foot directly penetrated the inside of the giant elephant monster's head, he screamed. There was a hint of panic in this cry. Jia Yan's dozens of attacks before only caused him a few flesh wounds, but this time the attacks finally accumulated a deep wound. This time it actually hurt the inside of his head. It was foreseeable that as long as a few more a stabbing attack can really damage his mind, causing serious injuries even if he doesn't die. The giant elephant monster hesitated, but Jia Yan did not wait for him. Bang! After another blow, the opponent's head injury became more serious. I give up, I give up. The giant elephant monster who had been looking down on Jia Yan just now couldn't help but speak. Give up? Hearing this frightened voice, Jia Yan, who also looked tired, breathed a sigh of relief. Then he lightly jumped down from the top of the giant elephant monster. At this moment, the entire battlefield was covered with the bloodstains of the giant elephant monster. His huge size gave him an incomparable amount of flesh and blood. Although it was not a serious injury at this time, it was still shocking to outsiders. Admit defeat? It was Jia Yan who just said he would admit defeat. Haha, our Jia Yan player did admit defeat, but he felt defeated even though he lost. It is already rare for a distinguished person to be able to do this. The strong commentator was stunned for a moment, and then said something that made Jia Yan almost fall down. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 895. Haha, then Jia Yan has given up. Although I knew he would lose a long time ago, he was able to fight like this. As the senior commentator said, it is an honor to lose. Every spectator, as well as the contestants, exhaled and nodded to each other on the sidelines. Jia Yan lost, which made them a little happy and relieved. If he can still win, it will be too unbelievable. This giant elephant is not just a cat or dog on the roadside, but a terrifying half-star powerhouse, who can even rank among the top half-star powerhouses. 20. It seems that this is the end for Jia Yan. When he has already created history, it is considered a miracle. Haha, it would be better if we lose. We don't have to be shocked by this guy's behavior again and again. My heart feels like it's been scared to the point of shortening my life. Yes, but it's a pity that a miracle ended like this. With the words of those watching the battle, the outcome of this battle seemed to be confirmed in their hearts. However, there are some powerful beings who clearly saw another ending just now, but now that the audience has told it, they are beginning to doubt themselves. I must have read it wrong. Jia Yan must be defeated, they all thought so. Only Jia Yan, who was present, and the giant elephant monster who had just come back to his senses, as the parties involved, were stunned. Jia Yan was speechless, and the giant elephant monster was blushing and heart-beating, not knowing what to say. And in this battlefield, there is another being who can distinguish right from wrong. That is a semi-star referee outside the arena. After hearing the discussion inside and outside the stadium, he smiled bitterly in his heart. He couldn't believe what he saw, but as a referee, he couldn't make an unfair decision. Besides, Jia Yan would not agree. Everyone, be quiet. I'll announce the results of the game. He shouted to stop the commotion inside and outside the arena. The result of this game, the winner is Jia Yan. When this powerful referee said these words, some people in the entire stadium seemed to be ready and cheered loudly. Well done, the giant elephant clan eliminated Jia Yan. Awesome, I love you, this master of the giant elephant clan. Haha, Jia Yan, you finally lost. The waves were making a loud noise, threatening to overturn the entire arena. But soon, some of the loud drinkers seemed to realize something was wrong. Well, The name the referee just announced doesn't seem to be the name of the giant elephant. I seem to hear it too, not his name. But Jia Yan. Impossible. Why did the referee make a mistake? Didn't this strong man from the giant elephant family win? Every spectator, as well as the contestants on the sidelines, looked at the referee strangely. In fact, most of the people present had the strength to see Jia Yan's victory just now, but their rationality told them that Jia Yan's victory was impossible, just like when people on Earth suddenly saw UFO flying above their heads. First, for a moment, you will think you are dreaming. And now this referee has directly destroyed their rationality. Haha, don't deny the facts. The one who won just now was really Jia Yan. Just like the emperor's new clothes were ruined by a child, a strong man said such a fair word. How is that possible? There is no way Jia Yan can win. The battles he won before were all caused by others. There is no way he can win this one. One by one, the audience finally came out of the lies they had spun. It must be that the giant elephant family is too weak, bastard, the top 20.5 stars are just like nothing. The words of the audience made the giant elephant monster almost want to find a hole and bury itself in it. He wanted to say that he was actually trying his best, but Jia Yan was too strong and there was nothing he could do. But he couldn't say anything at all, so he had to leave the stage in despair after the referee announced the result of the battle. Jia Yan also stepped down. What greeted him were shocked eyes. The geniuses of the Tornado Force never thought that the talented foreign aide invited by their force would be such a genius. Although Jia Yan, who was in the genius battle of the Tornado Force, was already as bright as 1,000 feet, compared with his current performance, it was simply dwarfed. At that time, Jia Yan did not even show 1/3 of his current strength. How can a venerable who is not even the pinnacle of venerables, be able to defeat a half-star powerhouse among the top 20? It's like a modern fantasy novel, or so they think. Jia Yan, you did a good job. Tai Jin moved his mouth and then said this. He has just broken into the top 20. Among the half-star experts from the entire mighty force, 3 have been eliminated. However, Jia Yan is better than these 3 experts and has broken into the top 20. Thank you for the compliment, Senior. Jia Yan nodded slightly, but his attitude toward Tai Jin was not different just because he showed strength. This made Tai Jin feel comfortable. Jia Yan, the possibility of you encountering our Tornado Force players is greatly increased next. If we encounter you, we will choose to admit defeat. I want your miracle to continue. Tai Jin's decision to make this duel was not a joke. You must know that the strong men of their Tornado Force came to this powerful Force Genius battle not only for the points of the Genius battlefield, but also for the reputation of the Force. And this time Jia Yan actually gained such a huge reputation on their behalf, so of course they have to continue to expand this reputation. It doesn't matter if they just admit defeat in 1 or 2 games. Jia Yan thanked him and returned to the corner again. And the semi-star powerhouse of Urshan power here has long since disappeared. He must have run away quickly after seeing that Jia Yan was able to win over the giant elephant. You can escape quickly. Jia Yan's eyes flashed with faint light, and then he knelt down lightly. This powerful man from the Urshan force had shown hostility to Jia Yan several times in front of all living creatures, so Jia Yan didn't mind giving him a ride, but the other party was a bachelor, so he ran away when he saw Jia Yan's strength. But there are always opportunities. In the next battle, Jia Yan was really lucky. In the 10th and 5th battles, he directly encountered a Tornado Force with a half-star power, and the opponent directly gave up without any reluctance. The semi-star level top 5 battle is different from the previous ones. It uses a draw battle. One player has a bye, and the remaining 4 players play against each other in pairs. The one who got a bye was actually Jia Yan. Jia Yan's luck broke out again and he got an empty draw, which made the spectators on the stage and off the stage shout shady stories one by one. But this shady scene seems to still be going on. The semi-finals were a 2-on-1 battle, and Jia Yan was lucky again, picking a semi-star strongman who had spent a lot of energy and suffered serious injuries during the top 5 battle just now. It was difficult for the opponent to even fly, and Jia Yan didn't have much sympathy. Instead, he stepped forward and used brainwave power and black hole distortion to eliminate the opponent neatly. Just like that, Jia Yan entered the finals. But the scene that made the audience curse the most appeared. Another battle in the semi-finals of the Semi-Star Geniuses was between the third strongest member of the Mighty Force, Tian Weiqiang, and the leader of the Tornado Force, Taijin. Their battle was extremely powerful, it could be described as earth-shattering, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that the earth would turn upside down. The powerful fighting power displayed by these two strong men far exceeded that of other contestants. Even Jia Yan looked at it with shock, knowing that even with the help of artificial black holes, he was no match. The result of this battle was exactly the shady result that countless creatures inside and outside the arena cursed. Because the winner of this battle is actually Taijin. Damn it! It's a shady story. Taijin won. He must have given up defeat when he fought with that garbage venerable monster Jia Yan. That's right, that way the venerable one will win. He's cheating. The mighty forces and the tornado forces are cheating together. Every audience member yelled and cursed, accusing the organizer of cooperating with the tornado forces to fake the event. The mighty forces would cry under such circumstances. They are enemies with the tornado forces, and even if they have the chance to quarrel, they will cheat with them. It's impossible to be good at all. But the audience would not make such a rational analysis, they would just curse. And amidst the roars of the audience, the last battle of this powerful genius battle, which should have been the most intense and anticipated finals of the two strongest players in the semi-star, began. Under the angry scoldings of the monsters, the two monsters Jia Yan and Taijin flew onto the battlefield together indifferently. They seemed to have not heard the yelling of the monsters around them, and their expressions were calm. Both sides stood still, and then the referee reluctantly announced the start of the fight. Cough. Taijin looked at Jia Yan in front of him and gave a slight fake cough. He suddenly held his head with his feet and screamed loudly. Ah, it hurts so much. My head was injured in the last semi-final. I must not play in this game. It hurts so much. Ouch, I give up. Do you dare to scream more falsely? It's a shady story. What a shady story. We don't recognize this final. When Taijin finished shouting this sentence, the entire stadium was boiling inside and outside. Countless monster drink cups and food sold on the sidelines flew towards the two finalists on the battlefield. Jia Yan and Taijin looked at each other and saw a funny look in each other's eyes. Of course, those debris couldn't hurt them both. They flew nearby and couldn't make any further progress. Shady story, refund the tickets, we want the tickets refunded. A venerable man has won a genius battle between a venerable master, a second-level master, and a half-star master. A mighty force. Can you be more ridiculous? Refund the ticket. We want an official explanation from Genius Battlefield. The high-ranking officials of the powerful forces were forced to commit suicide by the current situation. They wanted to explain loudly, how could they possibly engage in shady affairs with the tornado forces? Even if they did, it would bring disgrace to the tornado forces. How could they help them? But the audience didn't listen to the explanation. In this battle of geniuses, I believe that Jia Yan wins. While all the creatures continued to make noise, an extremely loud sound came down from high in space. Thanks to the Uiage brothers for another 1000 starting coin reward. Thanks. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 896. With the sound of this voice, the entire genius battle arena suddenly became quiet. Everyone knows that this is the voice of the terrifying genius battlefield official star-level existence. Astral level, even in the eyes of all the geniuses in the genius battlefield, is an unbelievably terrifying existence, and this existence is also the official of the genius battlefield, and the words he speaks can be said to be the most fair. His words were immediately accepted by all living beings. Is this the genius battlefield official who is observing this genius battle in the announcement? Since it is what this gentleman said, it must be right. I didn't expect Jia Yan to be affirmed by this gentleman. Look, up in the sky. A group of spectators and participating creatures saw a huge creature appearing out of thin air in the sky above their heads. Jia Yan also raised his head. His compound eyes were full of brilliant flashes. It turned out that high in the sky, a monster about several kilometers in size appeared there. What's even more shocking is that he didn't use any invisibility ability, but so many people before, including Jia Yan, had never felt his presence. It was as if his body, which was several kilometers away, was as invisible as air and water. Exists there, but is deliberately ignored. Terribly powerful. Since Mr. Longta said so, then the final winner of this semi-star talent competition is our biggest dark horse this time, Mr. Jia Yan. When the strong commentator saw the star-level master above his head, he recognized Jia Yan, so he had no choice but to say this. Jia Yan nodded respectfully to the high-altitude stellar monster and expressed his gratitude. There are also contestants in the audience on the sidelines. Even if they are not satisfied with the result, the official star-level adults of Genius Battlefield have spoken. They can only accept it if they don't accept it. Next is the championship award ceremony. Our Lord Longta will personally receive the genius who won the championship. The commentator announced with some envy. Jia Yan once again became the champion amidst all kinds of words. Of course, most of the words were scolding. This Jia Yan really has some connections. Otherwise, how could Sir Longta help him? Keep your voice down. Although I think he is a little unworthy of his name, it is definitely true that he won. This is just the tornado forces helping him, plus he is lucky. You must not speak ill of the genius battlefield official. With a star-level appearance, Jia Yan's title as champion is now firmly established. But there are too many people who have objections to him. Everyone thinks that Jia Yan was able to reach the end because of luck. Otherwise, among the top 10, there are many half-stars who can defeat Jia Yan. Jia Yan accepted a reward from the powerful force, but next he had to go to meet the star-level official powerhouse, and he had another reward to give. And the audience started to leave. Some of them were cursing, while others came to their senses and felt extremely excited to witness the deeds of Jia Yan, a dark horse. You must know that this is something that has never happened before in the entire 132-star district. A venerable who can conquer all the venerables, the next-level experts, and even the champion of the semi-star level genius battle, not to mention the 132-star district, even in the entire genius battlefield, they think that there are very few. Forget it, regardless of whether there is something fishy or not, we have witnessed a miracle. It is probably impossible for anyone to do this miracle again for the time being. Only now did each audience feel that their votes had some value. Of course, Jia Yan's victory was a bit reluctant, and they always felt a little naughty in their hearts. Jia Yan was greeted by a powerful Siguan strongman and placed on a small speedboat. Then he took this small speedboat and came to the starry sky. After flying several million kilometers and taking several hours, we finally arrived on top of a large meteorite. Jia Yan, you're here. Outside the meteorite, there was a monster about the same size as the meteorite, waiting calmly. He is the Genius Battle Domain official monster who had spoken to help Jia Yan before. The strength of a star is a kind of power that is impossible to confront for Jia Yan now. The opponent's body is very similar to Jia Yan, also dark, and he also has a pair of wings, but compared to Jia Yan, his size is too large, hundreds or thousands of times larger than Jia Yan. Thank you for your help, sir. Jia Yan didn't dare to have too much confidence. In front of a stellar powerhouse, his talent and strength were a joke. It's nothing. Your victory was not fraudulent. Longta waved his foot indifferently. The size of this foot was even larger than Jia Yan's body, and its random shaking made Jia Yan's heart tremble. By the way, Jia Yan, you have won several talent battle championships before, right? I wonder how long you plan to stay in this 132-star district in the future. Longta obviously knew about Jia Yan's past. As an official member of the Genius Battlefield, he was able to find out the several genius battles that Jia Yan had fought through the network system. Sir, I want to fight a few more genius battles in the 132nd star sector. I will return to the 251st star sector in about 3 months. Jia Yan didn't hide anything and replied directly. Longta could easily know everything that had happened to him in the genius battlefield before, and there was no point in Jia Yan trying to hide it. There are too many geniuses in the genius battlefield, and Jia Yan doesn't think that the other party will have any special thoughts about him. After all, he understands that everything he has done just now, not to mention top geniuses, is a powerful existence among high-level geniuses. It can also be done. Well, your talent is very good. I will adjust your talent points now, as well as our official internal expectations. I hope you can maintain this momentum in the future, advance to the next level as soon as possible, and even reach my level. Thank you, Sir. Jia Yan was surprised when he heard this, and then nodded with some joy. Longta took the initiative to adjust his talent expectations, which was a surprise for Jia Yan. The Genius Battlefield official has an expectation value for the geniuses in the Genius Battlefield. The basic expectations for a genius to enter the Genius Battlefield are the same. With him, he can do one thing after another and defeat powerful ones. For a genius, his expectations will be updated by the official. It is different for a genius with a higher expectation to receive official care. Okay, I have a reward for you here. If you adjust your expectations, the reward for you will be more. Just like the reward given by the star-level powerhouse to Jia Yan for winning the Genius Battle Aversion Force, Longta also gave a box with the official seal of the Genius Battle Realm. With this seal, others cannot steal it unless Jia Yan takes the initiative to give it to others. Of course, in this Genius Battlefield, the government is not omnipotent. If in a place that the government has not monitored, a genius who has received an official reward is robbed and killed, then it will be difficult for the official to investigate. 3 levels of championship rewards. Thank you, Sir. Jia Yan's eyes lit up and he thanked him happily. Not long after, on the meteorite land, a huge creature seemed to have escaped into the void, and then disappeared directly in front of Jia Yan. Jia Yan, I will still host several genius battles in the 132 starry sky during this period. I hope to see your wonderful performance. Longta's voice disappeared while flying. When Jia Yan looked around, this half-star powerhouse had disappeared. So fast. Even if you are not a person with strong space talent, you can actually tear apart the subspace and travel quickly in a space-distorting way. Jia Yan looked at the opponent's speed in surprise. You must know that Jia Yan is a gifted being in the subspace. He shuttles across space every time, and he may not necessarily fly faster than this dragon tower. And this is only the other party's usual traveling speed. There must be other ways to reach the distance. It can be seen that the existence of star level is still beyond Jia Yan's imagination. I have met 2 of these official star level experts in the Genius Battlefield. Their strength seems to be stronger than the Kongping I saw in the Northern Starfield. Maybe these official star-level experts, maybe they are all geniuses who have been promoted from the Genius Battlefield itself. Jia Yan looked at the starry sky where there had been no living things for a long time and sighed. If I want to reach the star level, I still have a long way to go. I don't know when I will be as powerful as this Longta. Jia Yan shook his head and put aside his delusion. Now he couldn't even defeat the powerful semi-star, let alone the star. However, there was one thing Longta said wrong, that is, he expected Jia Yan to advance to the second level of the powerful, and then to the semi-star level, and finally to reach the star level and be on the same level as him. But Jia Yan's goal is not to advance to the second level and semi-star level, but to directly advance from the venerable level to the star level through the method inherited from his predecessors. This will not only greatly shorten the promotion time, but also have a great impact on Jia Yan. For this evolved beast, maybe it's the most suitable method for his physique. Okay, I have received the rewards, and there are so many rewards. It can be predicted that as long as I digest these rewards that are very beneficial to me, my strength will be greatly improved. Next, just like this senior Longta said, go to various talent competitions and challenge. Jia Yan did not stay too long in this place of meteorites, but flew out after Nalong Pagoda left. Jia Yan, are you willing to continue to participate in the genius battle of another force not far away in the name of my tornado force? Just when Jia Yan returned to the Edisha, before he could check his reward harvest, he received a communication from the tornado forces. Continue to use the name of the tornado force to carry out genius battles. Jia Yan was silent for a while. Jia Yan, I understand your strength. Although I don't think you will win the semi-star level genius battle so easily next time, it is still possible for the venerable and sub-level experts to win. And my tornado force can still do it. I will cover for you and ensure that you get a higher ranking, and you can also get resource help from my tornado force. How about it? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 897. The caller was Ti-Jin, a member of the tornado force. He saw that Jia Yan was ready to leave after returning to the Edisha, and he suddenly became anxious. You must know that Jia Yan is a rare high-level genius. This is a recognized thing. And if their tornado forces want to gain a big name in the 132-star district, relying on Jia Yan is not a good way. And even if they can't get the expected results, their tornado power will still gain from knowing such a high-level genius. Okay, it's okay for me to fight in the name of your tornado force, but your force must come up with something that can impress me. After Jia Yan pondered for a long time, he replied to Ti-Jin. Okay, our tornado force can be considered an established force in the 132-star district. We don't even know what some of the supplies are. You can choose what you want. The other party's answer was also very straightforward, because Jia Yan personally told Ti-Jin that in terms of material rewards, he did not want the energy liquid that most creatures like, but rather some unique materials. After all, as an evolved beast, the energy he needs can be obtained from ordinary energy substances, and does not need to be extracted like other creatures. After the conversation, Jia Yan put down the communicator. To be honest, Jia Yan didn't lose anything by using the name of the tornado force to engage in a genius battle, and he was also able to obtain intelligence support from an entire force on the other side, which was beneficial to Jia Yan. Okay, now let's see what the rewards are for these 3 consecutive championships. Jia Yan finally had time, and he took out the big box that had been with him for a long time. Look at the baby, look at the baby. Atisha flew beside Jia Yan and rescued him quickly. It seemed that Jia Yan had received the reward and he was happier than Jia Yan. Jia Yan shook his head, and then took the box in front of Atisha. This is a box about 10 meters by 10 meters, which is actually not too big compared to Jia Yan's body. Moreover, the aura inside was sealed, and even Jia Yan could not accurately feel what was inside. With a hint of expectation, Jia Yan opened the box. A bunch of weird things inside were revealed directly in front of Jia Yan. There are also star cores, and there are a lot of them, which is good. Jia Yan's eyes suddenly lit up when he saw a familiar gelatinous object in the pile of supplies. Wow, This is a very rare crystal. The energy inside can be used by the Edissa. After Edissa saw a few red crystals, she immediately pounced on them. Crystals that can be used by the Edissa. Jia Yan didn't know much about spacecraft technology, but it was not easy for him to understand that it might be a supplementary material for the Edissa. Master, there is also a space stone here that may be helpful for you to cultivate your space talent. It's amazing. It even has this reward. With him, you will have more insights into the subspace. Edisha's mosquito eyes suddenly widened, and she pointed at a gray stone with a dense surface and said to Jia Yan. Space stone. Jia Yan was startled, then turned his head and looked over. This is a rare treasure, Jia Yan has heard Edisha say it before. The space stone is a stone that appears in the subspace based on an unknown principle. Moreover, it does not simply enter the subspace, but is completely condensed from the floating matter in the subspace. It can be said to be extremely precious. With this space stone, as long as Jia Yan takes it out often and feels it, he will have more insights into the subspace, and he will even be able to fully enter the second-level space inherited from his predecessors in the future. Very good. The reward this time is worthy of being the reward for 3 consecutive championships. I guess adjusting the opening talent expectation will also help. In short, I am very satisfied. After looking at all the supplies, Jia Yan nodded with great satisfaction. And he understands that this is just one victory, and he will go to more genius battles in the future. In more than 3 months, he will have to conduct at least 4 or 5 genius battles in the 132 star areas, and get after King Bill became more powerful, he returned to the 251 star area to carry out the battle with King Er. Your Excellency Jia Yan, the next force is the genius battle of the Pink Tian force, which is much stronger than our Tornado force and the Wei Qiang force. It's just half a month away. We have no time to sign up if we rush there now. Let's set off now. While Jia Yan was still immersed in the excitement of the reward, a communication sound came to the Aditha. Jia Yan agreed directly without much hesitation. Go ahead. In this star area, his purpose is to fight. Now he just has time to catch up with the genius battle, how could he not go? A group of fleets continued to fly. The Tornado Force is completely famous in these 132 star districts. Have you heard? The Tornado Forces on the border found foreign aid from nowhere, and obtained the champions of the mighty forces, the powerful Venerable, the sub-level powerful, and the semi-star powerful, 3 levels. It's simply terrifying. Champion of 3 levels? You won't tell me that this foreign aid is a Venerable. Otherwise, how could he participate in a Venerable level battle? But a Venerable can win a battle with a half-star strong person? How is this possible? I heard that this Venerable Master used some dishonorable methods at the semi-star level. In short, he is very powerful. The Tornado Force is coming with a lot of force. Have you heard? The name of the foreign aid of the Tornado Force is Jia Yan. He is a very powerful genius. There seems to be rumors that he is a high-level genius. One by one, or ordinary creatures watching the battle of geniuses, the Tornado Force, an unknown force, was promoted as if it was about to rise. As for a medium to large force not far from the Tornado Force, which is also close to the edge of the 132 star sector and one of the strongest forces in a large area, the Pink Tian Force, some high-level officials also heard this rumor. Does this Tornado Force really have great intentions? The genius battle between our forces is about to begin. Generally, the Tornado Forces will not come to participate. I don't know if they will come this time. Among the Pink Tian Forces, a high-level powerhouse from the Pink Tian Forces, after receiving information about the Tornado Force's foreign aid, harvested all the champions of the entire powerful force genius competition in an unbelievable way. There was silence for a while. I don't have to worry. It's not that simple to harvest this Tornado Force genius in my Pink Tian Force's genius battle. You must know that the level of my Pink Tien Force's genius battle is higher than that of the Mighty Force's genius battle. 1:30. This semi-star powerhouse felt that his worries were unfounded. But just as the strong man was mocking himself, an emergency communication sound reached the internal channel of his communicator. What? The Tornado Force is reporting that I am the genius of the Pink Tien Force. And the three-time foreign aide who has been in the limelight in the Weiqiang Force, Jia Yan, is here too. After the semi-stellar powerhouse put down his communicator, he couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. But very quickly, he dialed the communicator numbers one after another. Come back quickly, the Tornado Forces are here to kick things off. What? The Tornado Force is not something to be afraid of? Did you not read the recent news or something? They have a huge foreign aid coming. When the Pink Tien Force, this huge genius force that was originally several times more powerful than the Tornado Force and had never taken the Tornado Force seriously, became panicked because of the Tornado Force's report. A group of battleships, accompanied by a strange aircraft that was much larger than all the battleships, slowly broke through the warp flight. This fleet is none other than the Tornado Force that Jia Yan is riding on, and that weird huge aircraft is the Edisha. Haha, this Pink Tien Force, which has never looked at us in the eyes, responded so calmly and respectfully asked us to wait for their reply. In the fleet, Taijin and the senior officials of the Tornado Forces looked at the reply message from the Pink Tien Forces, and they all expressed their relief in great joy. You must know that although the Tornado Force was not weak in the past, in the eyes of this Pink Tien Force, it was just a little ant. Sometimes those who pointed fingers at the Tornado Force were like the sovereign state. This is what the Tornado Force is. The reason why the forces did not participate in the genius war between Pink Tien Forces. These are all brought to us by Your Excellency Jia Yan. By the way, speaking of Your Excellency Jia Yan, I seem to have felt a lot of energy fluctuations in your battleship in the past few days. Could it be that Your Excellency Jia Yan is paying for it again? Has your strength improved? A half-star genius, when he mentioned Jia Yan, he looked curiously at the display screen in the conference hall. There was a screen on it that was pointed in the direction of Jia Yan's Edisha. After hearing what his colleague said, Taijin nodded with emotion. That's right, His Excellency Jia Yan told me, he is continuing to study the path of power. His talent is a terrifying high-level genius, and he still works so hard. We have always known that, talent is not the decisive thing, having talent and hard work is the real genius, and Mr. Jia Yan is exactly such a genius. Then I wonder if Your Excellency Jia Yan will have a lot of strength when he comes out of seclusion this time, just like he disappeared last time, a half-star genius asked with some doubts. Unexpectedly, after he asked this question, all the senior officials of the Tornado Forces were speechless for a long time. I don't think so. He has just experienced strength improvement not long ago. In the past few days, several of our injuries have not been fully recovered. He is a venerable person and it will be difficult for him to regain his strength in a few days. If it would be too disappointing if we still improve our strength. A semi-star genius said somewhat unconfidently. Your Excellency Jia Yan is a high-level genius who works hard. Who can be sure what will happen to him? Maybe he will make an astonishing improvement in the Pink Tien Forces this time. Haha, let's not joke. In short, there is still some guarantee that Your Excellency Jia Yan can win the title of the venerable and the strongest level in this Pink Tien Power Genius battle. For the semi-star level, we still have to rely on ourselves. Don't be too embarrassed by the ranking, even if we achieve our goal. Taijin said the concluding words. Thanks to BookFriends 201702071858192886 for the reward Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 898. While they were talking, Jia Yan was indeed being promoted in the Edisha. He can roughly think of the comments from the outside world, but for Jia Yan, this genius battle is just a process, so he is not as nervous as others in the tornado force. Master, how do you feel about this space stone? When Jia Yan came back from his quiet realization, the little mosquito that had been flying in the air for a long time quickly flew down and asked Jia Yan. It's very good. Through it, I understand many mysteries of space. Jia Yan nodded with sigh. It turned out that there was a small gray stone floating in front of Jia Yan's forehead. The inside of the stone was dense, and there were veins that were rotating like a living thing. This is the space stone that Jia Yan received in a previous genius battle. Through this kind of genius, which exists in the subspace, and has an unknown chance of producing a space stone, Jia Yan understands more secrets about space. He understands more and more about space, and even understands more about the second-level space that he had barely felt before. When Jia Yan fought against the strong men of the second-level and semi-star-level geniuses, they were shocked by Jia Yan's space talent every time. That was because the space fighting method that Jia Yan learned from his predecessors was weird, and if he understands the second-level space, his strength will directly rise to a terrifying level. Coupled with the inherited space combat skills, he will definitely be another huge killer weapon for Jia Yan. This space stone has given me too much insight, not only my own space talent, but also the artificial black hole. I usually use brainwave power to control it in the subspace around me. Even if I don't move, it will be consumed. If I can use the space stone to control my own brainwave power, I can control it more freely even with the space stone. Jia Yan looked at the space stone floating in front of him. As soon as he thought, a crack opened in the space in front of him, and then the air in the entire world seemed to be twisted. The man-made black hole spread its suction force, and what was different from before was that this time Jia Yan did not even use his brainwave power, but used the space stone to control the opening and closing of the man-made black hole. But this space is too unstable, and it is even used by strong people who are proficient in space. Jia Yan pondered. He knows that among the geniuses in the genius battlefield, there are very many who have space talents. He has never met anyone with greater space ability than Jia Yan before, but it does not mean that there will be none. If he meets someone with space ability better than Jia Yan, if he is even more powerful, then his black hole may be used by the opponent, and then it will be Jia Yan himself who will cry. I think about it, this hidden danger must be solved before the battle begins. Jia Yan pondered. The fleet of the Tornado Force slowly approached the location of the Pingtian Force. This is a force several times more powerful than the Tornado Force and the Mighty Force. It is composed of dozens of artificial stars, and compared to other forces that are less prosperous, this Pingtian Force can be said to be extremely prosperous. There are not only powerful spaceships cruising around, but also many merchant ships. Go. That's right, even though the genius battlefield has official care, it still needs its own business system to a certain extent. Some powerful geniuses are specialized in business. And regardless of the geniuses who are engaged in business, some of them are very successful, but they are still a huge force, and there are also high-level geniuses among them. Of course, it is impossible for the Pingtian forces to be the same as these powerful forces. As the most powerful force in a certain edge area of the 132-star district, the Pingtian forces have many other forces coming here to trade and serve as a transit station. That is a natural thing. But recently, the number of merchant ships and warships coming and going among the Pingtian forces has far exceeded those in the past. The reason is that Pingtian forces have held genius wars every few years. As the most powerful genius force in the surrounding area, it is inevitable that they will prosper at this time. But at the time of this grand gathering, some geniuses from the Pingtian forces were paying close attention to the movements in the starry sky. The tornado forces are coming. Sure enough, just when this group of geniuses from the Pingtian forces were uttering such nervous words, a fleet that was not too big slowly came into view from the edge of the Pingtian forces detectors. The identification signal of this fleet is the tornado force signal that makes the geniuses of the Pingtian force feel a little solemn. This tornado force has really gone too far. I was unwilling to participate in the genius battle of our Pingtian forces before. This time, a talented foreign aide came and actually wanted to participate. The drunkard's intention is not to drink. I think they want to beat us. Pingtian is so powerful. Who says it's not? But my Pingtian force is not a powerful force, and that Jia Yan, I don't think he is really a high-level genius. He might not even be able to pass the next level of a strong person. That's right, our Pingtian forces have several very powerful geniuses in the level of strong people this time. Even if it is Jia Yan, it will not be easy for him to fight them beyond the level. One by one, the geniuses and powerful men looked at the approaching tornado forces. Then, a half-star level being adjusted his appearance and flew directly towards the tornado forces and their battleships. Welcome the powerful tornado forces. When approaching the tornado force fleet, the strong man made a faint voice. Oh! This time, the Pingtian forces actually sent a half-star genius to greet our tornado forces. I remember that decades ago, when our tornado forces came, you only sent a powerful person from the second level. Welcome. Tai Jin's calm voice came from the tornado force fleet. Haha, Your Excellency Tai Jin is joking. Why do you still bring up the incident of Chenggu's pockmark decades ago? Come on, let me lead the way this time. The half-star genius did not expect that the tornado forces would show no face at all. He brought up the past incident in which the Pingtian forces looked down on the tornado forces. He suddenly changed the subject with some embarrassment and started leading the way. Jia Yan, our force has not participated in the genius war of Pingtian forces for decades because our tornado force was not as strong as it is now decades ago. When they came to the genius war of Pingtian forces, they even managed to defeat a half-star strong man. There was no one to greet them, so my tornado force didn't come. In the fleet, Taijin explained to Jia Yan on the Edisha. Oh, Jia Yan nodded, understanding the grievances between the two forces. To put it bluntly, the tornado forces have a glassy heart. Even if the Pingtian forces have many half-star experts, every force has to send half-star geniuses to greet them. No number of geniuses is enough. Of course, maybe the Pingtian forces know that the tornado forces have become much stronger in the past few decades, and even today they may have the help of an outside genius like Jia Yan. Maybe they wouldn't treat the tornado forces that way back then. But the affairs of these two major forces have nothing to do with me. Jia Yan's compound eyes no longer thought about the grievances between the two major forces, but just looked at the scene outside the Aditha. The Pingtian force is the most prosperous among the many genius forces in the battlefield that Jia Yan has seen. There are huge battleships and spaceships flying around, and some merchant ships are cruising around. The news of the arrival of the tornado forces surprised many of the forces who came to compete. After all, this tornado force received the help of a high-level genius. Even the fact that this genius swept the genius battle of powerful forces and won 3 major championship-level rewards has spread throughout the entire star region. These forces know that the tornado force has come. I will definitely bring this genius here. Then Jia Yan doesn't know which one it is. Just when the genius of the tornado force was arranged to live on a planet, the players from the force who were temporarily living on the same planet were all pointing. And when Jia Yan got off the ground from the Edissa, the talented players who were giving guidance all turned their attention to him with a shudder. Did you see that? That's Jia Yan. He looks the same as what you saw on the internet. His current appearance is not in his full fighting state. I have seen videos of him fighting powerful forces and semi-stellar geniuses. It seems that he will turn blue at that time. Each contestant pointed and did not affect Jia Yan's interest in watching the powerful people around him and the environment. The surrounding environment is still good. Jia Yan has never seen such an advanced star in the genius battlefield. Huge short-distance ships are flying on fixed routes in the sky, with beautiful air and blue sky. Although this star is only half the size of the moon, it is able to control the environment and gravity very well, which shows that a lot of technical strength and resources have been invested. Among the geniuses who were observing Jia Yan around him, some were weak sages and some were powerful half-stars. Of course, most of them, for Jia Yan now, are the kind of strength that can be ignored. My current strength is about 10% higher than during the Weiqiang War. The semi-star genius who was extremely difficult to defeat before can now be defeated much easier. Jia Yan secretly assessed his own strength, then smiled calmly. The Pingtian Power Genius battle will only be held in a few days. In these days, his strength will continue to increase. If there are no accidents, in a few more days, his strength will not even catch up to the level of King Urshan. What a difficult thing. Jia Yan, this is your residence. Don't run around in the next few days. Some of the talented and powerful people around you are obviously hostile to you. It's not comfortable to be provoked by them when you go out. Taijin personally escorted Jia Yan to the outside of a huge house and gave instructions with concern. I understand. Jia Yan looked again, observing the power of his brainwaves in some directions, and nodded calmly. And just when he was looking at the strong men who were secretly sizing him up, those monsters withdrew their gaze. This Jia Yan is indeed extraordinary. A talented man looked at Jia Yan and nodded with a sparkle in his eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 899. This strong man had no fear of Jia Yan, but was rather interested. As a half-star genius, he has reason not to be afraid of a venerable. If he is even afraid of a venerable, wouldn't it mean that he is a half-star being in vain? The same goes for the other strong men. Most of them just treat Jia Yan as a recreational joke. But Jia Yan is really powerful, but it still makes geniuses and venerable people who have reached the next level strong feel great pressure. Compared with the powerful ones in the next level, there are still a few powerful ones who feel a little at ease, while the venerable level geniuses are all in despair. Because of Jia Yan's revealed strength, they couldn't resist no matter how hard they tried. But there is nothing they can do. Every time a genius from other star districts comes to the 132 star district to increase their presence, some geniuses will be shot and beaten to the point of losing their self-confidence. But this Jia Yan is just a genius from the 251st district. Even if we fight him tooth and nail, we can't lose. This is the idea of a ranking strong person, because after knowing Jia Yan's talent, they knew that if they didn't fight hard, they couldn't fight against this genius who could fight with a semi-star strong person, and they all thought that Jia Yan's strength at most, they are suitable for on-field battles. If they fight hard, they must be stronger in the second level. No matter what, Jia Yan slowly continued to improve his strength in the room where he lived, while they could only stare. Time passes quickly, and the battle between Pingtian forces and geniuses is finally about to begin. Welcome everyone to our Pingtian Force Genius Battle. Before we know it, this Genius Battle is already the 52nd Genius Battle held by our Pingtian Force. In the battle of geniuses of this force, many strong men have emerged, among them there is also the figure of Lord Ruby from the original 42 medium star sector. Now Lord Ruby is already a star-level existence in the outside world. When the geniuses of our faction interviewed him, this gentleman could still remember the battle between geniuses of our faction. He said that he cherished the battle of our faction. And Lord Kendi, he is now. On the day when the Genius War began, when Jia Yan and a group of geniuses from the Tornado Forces entered the battlefield designated by the Pingtian Forces, they heard earth-shattering shouts and strange scenery. Different from the genius battles held by small forces such as the Tornado Force, the Genius Battle of the Pingtian Forces was held in a starry sky battle platform about 500 kilometers in size in the starry sky. You must know that the Wuci force in the 251 sector has a diameter of only a few hundred kilometers in diameter, while the Pink Tian Force only builds a battle platform, which is several hundred kilometers in diameter. This shows the gap between the two sides. With this battle platform, there are lighting effects, and even the principles used around the battle platform. With air and gravity, Jia Yan feels real high-tech. He doesn't understand the principles, he only knows that it is very powerful. Look like. The Pink Tian forces are indeed different from us. The people they invited are the most talented people from this starry sky force. Taejin shook his head when he saw the genius forces surrounding the battle stage. It turns out that the forces participating in the Pink Tian Force Genius Battle are all those who look down on the Tornado Force Genius Battle. If some of the geniuses among these forces participate in their Tornado Force Genius Battle, everyone might be able to easily get the championship. Sir, we will be able to achieve this in the future. Now that we are becoming more and more famous in the Star region, some geniuses have already expressed their desire to participate in our Tornado Force Genius competition in the next session. A subordinate comforted Taejin. Just as the commentator on the high platform was talking endlessly, his topic suddenly changed. Dear viewers, the adults I introduced before are already in the past. In this talent competition, our force has once again invited a powerful genius. That is what everyone should have known before the competition, Your Excellency Jia Yan. None of the Tornado Force creatures, including Jia Yan, expected that a beam of lighting would hit Jia Yan directly. It's too much. If you compare this Jia Yan to those powerful seniors, he is nothing. Suddenly, some dissatisfied voices came out from the strong players around them. They believe the past of the seniors mentioned by the commentator before, because this is something that has been proven, but now the commentator deliberately compares Jia Yan with those powerful seniors, and even some seniors who have become stars, then it was so upsetting to them. Even if the talent of Jia Yan is really good, he is just a venerable person after all. How can such a being be compared to a star? Too much. Jia Yan, it seems that the Pink Tian forces want to kill you, so don't get excited. Taejin saw Jia Yan under the light, and quickly gave Jia Yan a brainwave power prompt. Don't worry, Jia Yan replied. There were tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of spectators around, all looking at Jia Yan's appearance, some mocking, others doubtful. After all, Jia Yan only showed up once in the powerful genius battle, and some viewers have really never heard of Jia Yan's rumors. Thank you to the Pink Tian forces for their love for me. However, I am still far from being able to compare with several seniors. I hope that one day, thank you. Jia Yan made a faint voice. His brainwave power is extremely peaceful. In this arena, it just spreads throughout the place where there are living creatures. There is no reluctance or any weakness in follow-up. It can be seen that his ability to control brainwave power is already very good, at least ordinary venerables cannot do it. Jia Yan's remarks can be described as appropriate, neither too cowardly nor too arrogant. But outside the arena, there were a group of creatures who were dissatisfied with Jia Yan. The shady champion gets out. The shady champion gets out. A large wave of voices sounded, and it seemed that some of them were familiar to Jia Yan. All the creatures in the tornado force, as well as Jia Yan, were startled, and then when they saw the shouting audience, they all smiled helplessly in their hearts. It turns out that many of this group of spectators were spectators who had watched Jia Yan fight in the Mighty Power Genius. They still remember Jia Yan's title as the Shady Champion, and now that they saw Jia Yan, they all shouted out. Upon hearing their shouts, each contestant also smiled and looked at Jia Yan with disdain in their eyes. They don't like a person who wins the championship through shady methods at all. And this made the commentator's eyes sparkle, and he couldn't hide his smile. Okay, Your Excellency, Jia Yan is indeed extraordinary, so now I announce that the 52nd Pink Tian Genius competition has begun. The commentator didn't want to be too obvious, so he announced the start of the genius battle. This genius battle between Ping Tian forces is no different from the genius battle that Jia Yan has experienced. First is the Battle of the Lord. In the first game, Jia Yan vs Wu Ziyu. The commentator shouted loudly, it seemed that the first Battle of the Lord was extremely exciting. Sure enough, when he called out the names of the two warring parties, the entire arena became noisy. Haha, in the first game, Jia Yan was arranged to fight with the number 1 winner of the previous Ping Tian Genius. Sure enough, Mars hit the Earth. The Ping Tian Genius battle is really interesting. Who says it's not? I see, although Jia Yan will win, it won't be easy. You have to know that the first place in the Ping Tian Genius battle will be the same as the first place in the Tornado Force, and the Powerful Force. The first place is different, the gold content is extremely high. Jia Yan, who was on the contestants' bench, was stunned, then shook his head and went on stage without any dissatisfaction. The Genius War officials wanted to heat up the atmosphere, and he understood. Jia Yan, I won't lose to you so easily. The opponent was a venerable, but his strength was definitely stronger than almost any venerable Jia Yan had ever seen, and he was extremely powerful. Although he considers himself no match for Jia Yan, it can be seen from his demeanor that even if there is a gap in strength between him and Jia Yan, he must go all out. The ideal is very full, but the reality is very skinny. But when Jia Yan casually struck and hovered directly in the center of the monster's forehead with his forefoot, the entire arena was silent for a moment. I admit defeat. The monster who ranked first in the level of the Ping Tian Power Venerable in the previous session directly admitted defeat with some bitterness. This Jia Yan is too strong. Well, of course, even if he is not a high-level genius, he is at least a mid-level genius. It is not so easy to beat him at the same level. One by one, the audience had some recognition of Jia Yan's strength. After this battle, Jia Yan's strength was recognized by many venerables. Even if Jia Yan wins the Genius Battle Championship of a small force, he must have the strength. For the next battle with the Venerable, go to Shuyuan. The Venerable who met Jia Yan was very straightforward. He was either defeated with one blow, or simply gave in, unable to even raise the courage to fight. In a battle between ordinary geniuses at the Venerable level, Jia Yan easily won the championship. But no matter how he won, the crowd of spectators who shouted and called them shady still stubbornly shouted slogans and yelled at Jia Yan for his champion's water content. Look, even if Jia Yan wins the Venerable level championship, he will definitely lose if he reaches the strong level next time. When Jia Yan won the honorary level championship, the audience who smeared Jia Yan on the sidelines still did not believe that Jia Yan could still have the momentum to compete with powerful forces and geniuses. This Jia Yan really has some abilities. In the queue of the Siguan strongmen, a Siguan strongman, like an assassin hidden in the darkness, looked at Jia Yan's body from a distance, glanced indifferently, and then looked back at Jia Yan without looking back. Before she could reach him, she glanced away. Well, Shang Ren is my old rival. I took it a step further this time. I wanted to teach Shang Ren a lesson, but I didn't expect that he would be defeated by Jia Yan. Then I will try Jia Yan's strength. Before I was promoted to half-star level, I had to worry about something. This creature in the shadows actually wanted to fight after seeing Jia Yan's strength. Lord Xing'an, it turns out you are here. As the shadow creature continued to observe Jia Yan, a fawning half-star level creature appeared next to him. Master Xing'an, you are a powerful second-level genius invited by our Ping Tian forces. How can you be with this group of ordinary geniuses? Come, I have arranged a private luxurious player room for you. Thanks to book friend Shank for the tip. If you find errors in chapter content, please report it and we will fix it as soon as possible. For more exciting content, please pay attention. New domain name of the Shubao Novel Network. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 900. Jia Yan won the venerable level championship, which was not unacceptable to the surrounding creatures watching the battle. Otherwise, with such a big name, his weight would be too much. Next, as the battle level most respected by the organizer, that is, the second level strong level battle, it attracted the attention of many spectators. Huh? Among the powerful people in the second level, there is actually Lord Xing'an. What? Is it Master Xing'an who fought a mid-level genius last year and was undefeated in 20 moves? The Pingtian forces are so good at it that they even invited Master Xing'an. It seems that Jia Yan is in the second level. There's also a tough battle at level. One by one, the spectators and players on the sidelines saw a name that surprised them when they saw the list of players for the next round of the strong battle. That is the second level expert who observed Jia Yan before, Xing'an. Senior Taijian, who is the Xing'an? Jia Yan was at the Tornado Force players' table and heard the discussions around him. He immediately asked Taijin beside him with some curiosity. This Xing'an cannot be underestimated. He has recently become a strong second-level genius. The year before last, he challenged a well-known middle-level second-level genius in the 132-star district as a low-level genius. He even lasted 20 moves? Defeat is extremely terrifying. Jia Yan, although you are powerful, you still have to be careful and don't capsize in the gutter. Taijin said to Jia Yan solemnly. Oh? It's not bad to be able to fight with a mid-level genius at the second level for 20 moves. Jia Yan nodded, but his expression was still indifferent. In a battle between powerful geniuses, Xing'an might be able to bring a little threat to Jia Yan, but now, Jia Yan doesn't think that the opponent can hinder him. You must know that during this period of time, his strength has still improved by leaps and bounds, which is beyond the imagination of ordinary strong people. The second round of the strong battle began. Just like the previous genius battle, Jia Yan passed the first and second rounds quickly. None of the strong men in the second level believed in Jia Yan's strength. However, after personally experiencing Jia Yan's terror, they all showed a look of shock and fear towards this strong man. In their opinion, Jia Yan's strength was not very powerful. This is like a person on earth who beats several people in Tai Chi, but there are always people who think that this Tai Chi master is not worthy of his reputation. The same goes for Jia Yan. His strength is not reflected in speed or brainwave power, but in his weird space talent and changeable combat skills. These are all indistinguishable to the naked eye. The average strong man is just I saw Jia Yan use slow and weak moves, then miraculously avoid the opponent's attack, and then successfully counterattack. Who would think that Jia Yan is truly powerful? Only those players who lost returned to their powerful player seats in frustration, and then reviewed the battle process speechlessly. Well, it's time for the finals of this second-level battle of geniuses. This time, there are two extremely heavy players participating in the finals of the second-level battle. One of them is the first in our battle. The dark horse contestant participating in the competition is just the venerable level Jia Yan, and the other one is the well-known sub-level genius in the 132-star district that everyone is looking forward to, Seeing Dark. When the commentator used his eloquent voice to introduce the two sides in the finals of the second round of the strong genius battle, the whole stadium was boiling. Jia Yan was able to advance to the finals of the second level of the strong genius battle at the level of the venerable, which can be said to live up to the glorious rumors of his previous battles with powerful forces. The other genius Xing'an is extremely powerful in the 132-star district. A well-known second-pass genius and a powerful genius who is also a spectator who thinks he has a chance to defeat Jia Yan. The two sides of the battle entered the stage. Xing'an, I advise you to admit defeat. When Jia Yan came on stage, the words he spoke directly shocked Xing'an, as well as the audience and contestants for a moment. I won't admit defeat. Xing'an shook his head depressedly. He felt that Jia Yan was stealing his words, because that was exactly what he wanted to say to Jia Yan. Jia Yan on the other side smiled slightly from the bottom of his heart. You must know that his opponent will say similar words to him almost every few battles. Now that he is tired of hearing it, it is better to say it first so that the opponent has nothing to say. Follow other people's paths and leave others with nowhere to go? Yes, that's the truth. Since you don't admit defeat, don't blame me. Jia Yan deliberately imitated the words of some of his previous opponents, which made Xing An even more depressed. Why is this Jia Yan like a roundworm in his stomach, always trying to steal his words? The battle begins. The commentator announces the start of the battle. Boom. All joking aside, Jia Yan did not look down on his opponent at all, and launched an attack the moment the battle started. What a powerful brainwave power! Jia Yan's brainwave power spread outside Xing An's body, making the second-level genius immediately feel suffocated. You must know that Jia Yan's brainwave power, although it is nothing at the level of a semi-star powerhouse, is already powerful for a genius at the level of a sub-level powerhouse. In the past, a strong person at the rank level was violently affected by Jia Yan's brainwave power, and then was hit by subsequent attacks and failed. Now Xing An was also affected for a moment. But after all, he is a powerful second-level genius. In less than 0.01 second, he broke free from Jia Yan's brainwave power control and took a step back. During this step, his entire body seemed to have entered the background of the universe and disappeared instantly. Jia Yan Ben stabbed his forefoot into the air. He looked to the left and right, curiously feeling the location of his opponent. Just before Jia Yan felt the other party's presence, he suddenly felt a terrifying energy wave appear on the right side of his body. What a weird attack method! Jia Yan felt that Xing An actually used an attack method that he had never experienced before, and he felt happy in his heart. This player's body is dark, and his front feet are like human palms. When his 7 fingers attack, a slippery liquid will appear. With the help of this liquid, he cuts through the space and vacuum. At this time, it was quieter and faster. Jia Yan could feel that if he was hit by this attack, he would also be injured. But of course he was not afraid. He just remembered the opponent's attack method in his heart, jumped back and entered the subspace. Is this Jia Yan's subspace ability? On the other side, Xing An, who seemed to be in the subspace as well, was startled. Looking at Jia Yan, who entered the subspace after dodging his own stab, he felt a little solemn. Yes, Xing An is also a space genius, and his talent is somewhat similar to Jia Yan's ability to travel through space. He is called Star Dark, which has something to do with the talent in this space. Why does it seem that the depth of my subspace is not as deep as Jia Yan's? Xing An tried his best to feel the depth of the subspace where Jia Yan was, but was shocked to feel that the subspace that Jia Yan entered was deeper than his. In the subspace combat skill, whoever can enter the deeper subspace can. If you take the initiative, your chances of winning will be much greater. Just when Xing An was a little surprised by the depth of the subspace that Jia Yan entered, he didn't feel it. Although he accurately grasped the depth of the subspace that Jia Yan dived into, he failed to capture the location of Jia Yan's big killer weapon. The place of subspace. He was distracted by feeling where Jia Yan was, but he didn't notice a black monster behind him, slowly approaching. And at the moment of reaction, dark shadows are coming. I give up. I give up. On the battlefield, no one knew how the two geniuses who entered the subspace fought. Only some strong men with space talents could see the situation on the battlefield with ugly expressions. But the audience soon saw the scene of battle. I give up. I give up. A large crack opened in the space of the battle platform, and Xing An rolled out of the space as if he had seen some extremely terrifying monster. He doesn't look like a well-known secondary-level genius in the 132-star district. He is just like an ordinary secondary-level expert facing Jia Yan, rolling on the ground without leaving any grace. Not far from him, a front foot slowly stepped out of the subspace. The owner of this front foot, with a dark body and a strange light in his compound eyes, is none other than Jia Yan. Your Excellency Xing'an, do you admit defeat? Jia Yan stood proudly and asked calmly. I give up. You madman actually did something like this, madman, I won't fight with a madman, Xing'an was almost incoherent. Your Excellency Xing'an actually admitted defeat and said that Jia Yan got something weird? Is it a banned weapon? That's right. How could Jia Yan win without using special weapons? I demand strict inspection of Jia Yan's weapons. One after another, the audience saw the result of the second level of the genius battle. Jia Yan actually won again, and they suddenly became dissatisfied with the process of the competition. They didn't think Jia Yan could win. Even if he could win, it wouldn't be so easy. Some spectators who had followed the battle between powerful forces and geniuses were so angry that they took out their own brains and flicked on the lighting effects that came with the brains. Strictly investigate the shady champion. We don't watch shady games. Strongly request the Genius Battlefield official to thoroughly investigate Jia Yan's game. The protesting audiences spontaneously united to protest against Jia Yan. But their protests did not affect the outcome of the battle. The referee on the sidelines looked deeply at Jia Yan, and then looked at the space behind Jia Yan, as if he saw some terrifying monster there, and immediately announced the result of the battle. In this round, Jia Yan wins. In the next battle between strong men and geniuses, the final champion is Your Excellency Jia Yan. Shady champion. Withdraw the investigation. Shady champion. We don't recognize Jia Yan's shady champion. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 901. In the face of more and more shouts and curses from the protesting audience, Jia Yan slowly walked off the stage leisurely and contentedly. They scolded them. As long as Jia Yan could win the championship, earn combat experience, and receive competition rewards, it would be enough. Just scold me, I will continue to win my championship. Do they still want to bite me? Jia Yan's indifferent attitude even made some viewers furious. Some of the viewers are even half-star level experts. They think that they can't understand Jia Yan's battle. What is a battle that they can't even understand at half-star level if it's not a shady story? The protests grew louder. Everyone, please be quiet. I just received a message from the Genius Battlefield Star Senior who was observing this game. There is no water in Jia Yan's victory. Everyone, please stop fighting. I announce that Jia Yan 1's win is valid. The commentator brought out the killer weapon of the star level, and the entire arena finally became quiet. In any case, a star-level existence is as noble as a god in the entire Genius Battlefield. No one dares to disobey the affirmation of a star-level existence. In this ordinary battle, is there also a star-level existence? Jia Yan looked at the sky with some surprise, but found nothing. The star level was still too far away from him, so after looking at it, Jia Yan stopped paying attention. The next step is the semi-star genius level battle. I think that the thing that Your Excellency is most concerned about is the big dark horse Jia Yan. Have you signed up for this level of battle? Now I will reveal the secret. The commentator on the high platform opened a list of players. Haha, I saw it. Contestant Jia Yan has indeed signed up for the semi-star talent competition again. It turns out that he is a boy born from a hero. This venerable dark horse genius from the alien area dared to fight against me in the ordinary genius competition. Just like in the powerful talent competition, register for the 3 major levels of talent competition, then let's wait and see if he can win 3 consecutive championships again. When the commentator saw Jia Yan's name, his teeth started to itch with hatred. You must know that Jia Yan is already in the limelight. If this person in the limelight is a genius of their ordinary forces, then it will be fine. But the other party came to compete on behalf of the tornado forces. At this moment, the commentator just wants to go off in person and kick Jia Yan. Rock butt, buttocks, and legs, no matter how you look at them, they will look good. The semi-star geniuses around him also looked at Jia Yan, who was in the tornado force, with some inexplicable eyes. You must know that in their eyes, the venerable is usually just a genius of the lowest level, a semi-star genius. Not to mention the strength among the same levels, only that in terms of large levels, he is already at the top of the entire genius battlefield. Level, which one of their venerables is not a senior? Jia Yan, on the other hand, wanted to challenge their seniors, which in the eyes of the semi-star geniuses was simply treasonous. This Jia Yan has done something. Yes, even if he is really a high-level genius, he is so arrogant and has touched the majesty of our strong men. If I meet him later, I will make him understand that we are not those competing in the powerful force. Help the trash. It is really unreasonable for a venerable master to want to challenge a half-star genius. When the semi-star experts saw that Jia Yan actually dared to sign up for the semi-star talent competition again, their eyes flashed with faint gleams, and they all seemed eager to devour Jia Yan. Jia Yan, if you encounter some powerful semi-stellar experts later, remember to admit defeat. The semi-stellar geniuses of the Pingtian forces are not comparable to the semi-stellar geniuses of the powerful forces. Tai Jing came close to Jia Yan and whispered to him solemnly several times. I understand. If I really can't win, I will choose to admit defeat. Jia Yan nodded. Jia Yan is not arrogant. He understands that there is still a gap between himself and some powerful semi-star geniuses. But he is not blindly discouraged. You must know that the 3 consecutive championship rewards from powerful forces have made Jia Yan's strength significantly higher in this short period of time. Moreover, his space talent has become more profound due to the emergence of the space stone. The battle with Xing'an just now was a small test. When Jia Yan entered the deep space, even Xing'an, who was famous for his space talent, could not sensing Jia Yan's whereabouts. Along with the semi-star geniuses, one by one came on stage and announced their names. After making themselves known to the audience and the players, the first semi-star talent battle began. But what Jia Yan didn't expect was that the Pingtian forces actually used their power again, causing a small Hai to appear as soon as the battle began. Tide. This is Hai. The tide is related to him. The first battle between semi-star geniuses, Jia Yan versus Pai Ren. The commentator on the high platform announced the names of both sides in the first battle. All the creatures in the entire battlefield were stunned for a moment, and then they burst into loud noises. Okay. So Pai Ren, let's defeat the shady champion Jia Yan. As a semi-stellar powerhouse, it's impossible that he can't defeat even a venerable one. Haha, you all don't know that Pai Ren is still extremely powerful. In the powerful genius battle, he might even be able to enter the top 10. Before, Jia Yan's strength was doubted by a group of people, and he entered the powerful genius battle. The semi-star level finals of a strong force is a shady story, and his real strength is not even in the top 10. Then we can see what his strength is in this game. What are you looking for? You will definitely lose. The Pingtian forces must have judged Jia Yan's strength and deliberately let Jia Yan fight an unbeatable opponent. It's a shady story, but I like this shady story so much. Jia Yan came onto the stage, and his opponent slowly came onto the stage as well. The 8-clawed monster looked at Jia Yan for a few times. He didn't need to speak, but Jia Yan could guess what the other person wanted to say. Jia Yan, your good luck ends here. When it comes to the battle between Pingtian forces and geniuses, no one is trying to trick you. Now is the time for your defeat. The other party said calmly. Whether I will lose or not depends on the senior's ability. Jia Yan shook his head and said as if he was completely ignoring the opponent. The battle begins. Seeing the two sides talking loudly, the commentator below immediately announced the start of the battle. Jia Yan looked solemn. He knew that the opponent's strength was stronger than the top 20 monsters he had fought in the powerful force. He had fought very hard at that time. In the words of this strong man, Jia Yan believed that he should at least fight with all his strength. Jia Yan, I heard that you are a space talent monster, so let me try to see what your space talent is like. The opponent, this half-star monster, used a weird brainwave power. Jia Yan wanted to avoid it, but the opponent's brainwave power was too fast, making it impossible to avoid it. Boom! He only felt that his body was in a state of dizziness. After that, the world around him turned upside down, and he was forcefully struck into the subspace by the opponent's brainwave power. So strong! Jia Yan was shocked. You must know that although his brainwave power is weak, although his real strength has not reached the level of a semi-star powerhouse, he is still at the level of a sub-level powerhouse. In addition to his combat skills, combat experience, and with his speed and other advantages, it would be extremely difficult for an average semi-star level genius to catch him easily. But this 8-clawed monster instantly bombarded him with brainwave power, causing his body to be bombarded into the subspace. You must know that Jia Yan can clearly see that the opponent's talent should be in the category of brainwave power, not in subspace. Boom boom boom. This brainwave power suppressed Jia Yan's body fiercely. The opponent looked like he wanted to directly subdue Jia Yan with powerful force. Asshole! Are you bullying my weak brainwave power? Jia Yan understood that this was because his opponent underestimated his weak brainwave power. Of course, brainwave power is Jia Yan's weakness, but Jia Yan's ability to defeat every opponent has never relied on strength confrontation. His body suddenly twisted in the twisted half-space, and Jia Yan dodged a space crack next to him. After that, his compound eyes flashed and he looked at the 8-clawed monster outside the subspace. A huge black thing quietly came to the opponent's side. That black thing was like a monster wandering in the deepest part of space. When it came to the subspace beside the 8-clawed monster, there was a sudden force that caused the subspace it was into, a huge gap opened. What? Napi Renban released the power of brainwaves and went to Shiyuan to suppress Jia Yan's energy. His talent is the talent of brainwave power that Jia Yan saw. Because of this talent, his brainwave power is more than twice as powerful as the average half-star genius. Moreover, his brainwave power is very unique and can forcefully transform living things. Blast into the subspace, and there are many dangers in the subspace. Without the existence of space talent, it is easy to be injured or even die in it. This is also the biggest reason why he is ranked within the top 20. This time his opponent is Jia Yan. His brainwave power is more than 5 times greater than that of the venerable Jia Yan. He is the best candidate to deal with Jia Yan. So he didn't think he could lose. With the difference in brainwave power, Jia Yan can be crushed to death even with pressure. Boom! Just when he thought he was about to put an end to the dark horse legend in front of him, a terrifying attraction came from the side of his body. What kind of power is this? Because he did not have a real talent for space, Pai Ren could not even see the black giant in the deep subspace. He could only feel a terrifying suction force coming from the depths of the subspace, shaking his body vividly. Pai Ren's brainwave power was out of control and he was unable to pinpoint Jia Yan's location accurately. After a brilliant flash in Jia Yan's eyes, he bounced in the subspace and left the area controlled by the opponent's brainwave power. Jia Yan, don't even think about escaping. Seeing that Jia Yan escaped from the control range of his brainwave power, Napiran became anxious and wanted to release the brainwave power again to cover the subspace area where Jia Yan was located. But before that, in the subspace that ruined their good deeds, a suction force came out again. Asshole, what on earth is this? Pai Ren, who was sucked and affected again and lost his strength, couldn't help but curse. Thanks to book friend Ben Bendai for the tip. Thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 902. What a weird power. Player Jia Yan used that power again. Who can tell me what power he used? The commentator on the high platform saw Jia Yan defusing the opponent's attacks time and time again, and was extremely surprised by the power of the black hole. Is it really the power of a black hole? It's impossible. Who can control the power of a black hole? The battle on the high platform continues. Even if Jia Yan used the power of the black hole, the fact that the opponent's brainwave power was much weaker still did not change. The battle between the two sides had always been that the eight-clawed monster used the brainwave power to attack, and Jia Yan used the black hole to resolve it. This eight-clawed monster can use the advantage of brainwave power to crack all my subspace talents. Is the talent really ineffective in the face of absolute power? A faint light flashed in Jia Yanfu's eyes. After taking out the black hole, his pressure was greatly reduced, but he was also helpless against the opponent. After all, the man-made black hole was not a direct attack, at least Jia Yan was not able to use it yet. Attack directly. If I want to win, I must take the initiative to attack, and the opponent's brainwave power is extremely strong. If I want to attack him, he will definitely be affected by the brainwave power. So what method should I use? The power of brainwaves is powerful. Although the advantage is not too huge among experts of the same level, for a respected person like Jia Yan, it is an insurmountable hurdle. A semi-star genius with powerful brainwave power, even if Jia Yan's attack passed, he might be able to easily push away his attack just by relying on the advantage of brainwave power. But how will you know if you don't try? An attack came again in front of him. Jia Yan cooperated with the artificial black hole in the deep space, causing the opponent's body to suddenly shift. It's now. His blue front foot suddenly took advantage of this opportunity and stabbed the opponent's body surface hard. But when Jia Yan felt that his front foot stabbed the opponent's body, a wave of brainwave power rippled to his front foot, and then wrapped the attack power of the front foot layer by layer, and then weakened. The last thing that hit the opponent was just a weak blow that couldn't even break through the skin. Jia Yan, did you see that? You can't win. The eight-clawed monster laughed happily. In fact, he was also startled by Jia Yan. Just now he was pressing down on Jia Yan to fight, but after just a few moves, Jia Yan was able to get used to his attack method and counterattacked while dodging. Such exaggerated adaptability shocked this top 20 semi-star genius. But no matter how shocked, the fight will continue. Not only was the monster named Pai Ren shocked, but the surrounding spectators also quickly felt the shock. It turned out that he gradually realized that in the battle between Jia Yan and Pai Ren, it was originally Pai Ren's overwhelming attack from one side, but slowly, Jia Yan's evasion became more smooth, and then he was even able to attack the other side. During the attack, occasionally counter-attack once or twice. This combat learning ability is too terrifying. The commentator no longer knew what words to use to describe Jia Yan's combat ability. For a genius, it is often said that he is a mid-level or high-level genius, which is just a superficial judgment. Jia Yan's current strength is not strong for ordinary strong geniuses, but his weird battle room style, in addition, the speed increased during the battle is as fast as riding a rocket. This is what shocked the surrounding creatures the most. For example, in this battle, Jia Yan was at an absolute disadvantage at first, but now he is able to defend and lead the attack. Although he still cannot break through the opponent's defense, it is shocking enough. Jia Yan, you'd better surrender. You've seen it. You've attacked me so many times, but you can't even break through my defense. What else can you get except wasting your efforts? Surrender. When Jia Yan listened to Pai Ren's pretending to be calm, the strange light in his eyes grew stronger and stronger. You must know that if an opponent desperately asks you to admit defeat when you have an advantage, it is definitely because he has something evil in his heart. Sure enough, not long after, a touch of blue became more obvious in Jia Yan's blazing compound eyes. He discovered something was wrong. This genius with powerful brain waves actually has an endurance even worse than that of an average star. The force of Jia Yan's collisions with him again and again, as well as the use of black holes to tilt his body, caused a huge waste of his brainwave power. After understanding this, a hint of ridicule appeared in Jia Yan's heart, and he turned on the suction power of the artificial black hole. The way he controls the artificial black hole at this time is to use the space stone. Although excessive use of the space stone will cause the stone to be consumed quickly, Jia Yan has no other way. This time he used the space stone to control space, opening the largest gap he could control. Boom! An overwhelming suction force spread deeply from that space. Ah! Pai Ren was like a small boat in the tide, using his brainwave power to resist this terrifying power. If it were in a normal state, his brainwave power would be able to escape the gravitational range with a burst of power. After all, this is just a small artificial black hole. Although it has an impact on semi-star powerhouses, the impact is limited. But now that he has consumed a lot of strength, this suction force is like a giant beast pulling him, and he cannot escape at all. What's even more terrible is that Jia Yan is still on the edge of the suction, using the power of brain waves to attack him. Jia Yan's brainwave power attack method is just a superficial move of brainwave power. It has little effect on powerful beings, but it can still distract Pai Ren. His body was constantly being attracted to the gaping space behind him. That's it, I admit defeat. Seeing that he was about to enter the subspace, the eight-clawed monster let out a long sigh, and then announced that he had given up. Wow! The entire battlefield was boiling at this moment. Jia Yan actually won again. And it wasn't due to luck or any shady tricks, at least in the eyes of the audience, Na Pai Ren did not let Jia Yan down. And in this case, the venerable Jia Yan actually defeated a being who was ranked in the top 20 among the half-star geniuses present. This is shocking. Your Excellency Jia Yan, as a sage who has won championships at 2 major levels in succession, you are entering the semi-star talent competition again. Do you want to win another gold medal at this level? When Jia Yan came down from the stage, several interviewers rushed to him and asked him what to say. Jia Yan smiled slightly. No, the seniors who participated in the Pingtian Forces Semi-Star Genius competition are all very powerful. I am not sure about winning this time. Then you came to our 132-star sector to challenge the mid-level geniuses in my power. I heard that several of the great geniuses in this sector have shown interest in you. Of course, I would be happy if those guys could fight with me. After Jia Yan said these words, the creatures being interviewed were pulled away by the security monster who came over and controlled them with brainwave power. During the competition, the players cannot be disturbed. Jia Yan, you did a good job. When Tai Jin saw Jia Yan coming down from the stage, he couldn't control the excitement in his eyes. Knowing his strength, it would take some effort to defeat Pai Ren just now, but Jia Yan, as a venerable person, was able to defeat Pai Ren. This is not an ordinary half-star genius found randomly on the side of the road. In his opinion, Jia Yan's progress was also frighteningly fast. At least half of the half-stars in the tornado forces thought that they could easily suppress this venerable genius when they first met Jia Yan, even if the opponent was a high-level genius. But now, even Taijin can't guarantee that he will win against Jia Yan, which shows how much the opponent's strength has improved. Your Excellency Taijin is about to play, and Your Excellency Xiren is also promoting martial arts. Jia Yan nodded and showed goodwill to Taijin. Although the tornado forces have a strong foreign aid in Jia Yan, their momentum is high, but their overall strength is still a bit weak. In the first round of battle, half of the tornado forces and half of the star powerhouses were defeated. In the second round of the battle, Jia Yan met a semi-stellar genius who had fought against powerful forces before. The opponent's strength was average. After seeing Jia Yan hastily fight 2 moves, he gave in again. There were several defeats in the Taijin forces this round, and as a result, a few half-stars came, except for Taijin, the rest were defeated. Jia Yan, you and I are the only ones left now. When Jia Yan once again met a not too strong opponent in the third round, and after defeating his opponent and stepping down amidst the screams of the audience, Taijin said to Jia Yan with a wry smile. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. The Tornado Force originally wanted to catch up with the Pink Tien Force, but the current situation is very realistic. In the genius battle held by the Pink Tien Force, the elite geniuses of their Tornado Force appeared, but he and Jia Yan were the only two left after a few rounds. Leaving aside Jia Yan as a foreign aid, the Tornado Forces only have the last polished commander in this battle of semi-star geniuses. The power of Tornado is good, seniors, don't be discouraged. Jia Yan saw that Taijin was a little depressed, so he comforted him with a few words. But things turned out to be unsatisfactory. Drinking cold water would make your teeth choke. In the next round, Taijin actually met the semi-star genius who was tentatively ranked first in the preliminaries. He also lost. Now the entire Tornado Force came to fight in peace, but only the last player was left, and the foreign aid genius of their Tornado Force that aroused public opinion in the entire star region, Jia Yan. Haha, I'm laughing so hard. The Tornado Force has a great reputation, but now there is only one foreign aid leader left to support them through luck. Who says it's not the case? After several rounds, Jia Yan didn't meet any strong men. I looked at Pai Ren who fought with him before. I don't know what means Jia Yan used to win. The Tornado Forces and Jia Yan's methods are too dirty. The Tornado Forces were defeated, and countless viewers were gloating about the misfortune. Some even pointed the finger at Jia Yan and brought up the shady matter again. For a venerable man who dominates the battle between semi-star geniuses, few people are willing to believe that he is not a shady person. However, no matter what they said, Jia Yan still surpassed a semi-star genius with average strength and passed the threshold of the top 20. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 903. Haha, this Jia Yan is really interesting. When the genius battle between the Pink Tien forces was more than halfway through, a being who looked like no ordinary creature, hundreds of millions of kilometers away from the Pink Tien forces, sneered at the live broadcast of the battle. Sir, do you think we will arrange weak opponents for him next? You must know that there are basically no weak opponents among the top 20. A certain monster standing on the side of this creature asked him somewhat submissively. Really? It seems that your Pink Tien force's genius fighting level is quite high. Forget it, let him fight randomly. I also want to see if he is in your Pink Tien force's semi-star level battle. How far can we go? But he actually said just now that he wants to fight with some of our 132 sector geniuses. Ha ha ha, he's just a venerable person. It's so interesting. This creature smiled faintly and seemed to be very interested in Jia Yan, but it didn't look like it was entirely worth it. Okay, I'll make arrangements now, the creature accompanying him quickly responded. If someone saw this respectful monster, they might be able to recognize his identity. He was the number 2 figure in Pink Tien's forces and the host of the entire Pink Tien Genius War. As for the creature that gave orders, he could make the second largest figure in Pink Tien obey him, which shows that his identity must be extraordinary. Naturally, the creatures in the battle don't know that someone is controlling the battle between them in a distant place. But Jia Yan understood that someone seemed to be tampering with all this. Of course, he thought the most likely possibility was that Pink Tien forces were tampering with it. If they do anything again, my shady reputation will be completely settled. Jia Yan looked at the battle table. The Pink Tien forces were a little different from the previous genius battles. Because there were so many players, the battle table was released in one go. This not only made people more expectant, but also allowed both sides of the battle to be prepared. Be prepared to fight a more exciting battle. In the battle of the top 20, Jia Yan encountered a semi-star powerhouse who was tentatively predicted to be ranked 11 before the start of the competition. Jia Yan, this monster called a paper card is also difficult for me to deal with. If you say, just go all out. If it doesn't work, just give up. Taejin looked at Jia Yan's opponent. Although he was prepared in his heart that Jia Yan would not be able to continue his luck, his expression still looked a little desperate. You must know that the opponent Jia Yan is facing this time is a former genius battle participant of their tornado force. He won the first place in the semi-star level that year. Taejin also participated in the competition that year, but unfortunately his strength is still a little inferior to his opponent. He is now confident that he can fight with the opponent. The outcome is hard to say, but when Jia Yan meets a semi-star who is similar in strength to him, he really doesn't think he will win. After all, no matter how talented Jia Yan is, he is just a sage. As the game progressed, Jia Yan finally came on stage after a fierce battle between a pair of players, facing the curses of all living creatures. Venerable Shame, get down. That's right, the Shady Master is also a high-level genius. Bah, I don't believe it. The title given to Jia Yan by the audience has been changed again, from the previous Shady Champion to the Shady Venerable. After all, even the audience knows that no matter how Jia Yan uses the Shady, he will not be able to win in this genius battle between the Pink Tian forces. He might become the champion, so he changed his name to Lord of the Shady. In short, it is best to scold the outsider until he escapes from the 132nd sector in despair. Jia Yan didn't care what they said, but he still felt a little uncomfortable. Jia Yan, you can't fight me until Taejin comes up. Is that okay with you? The opponent came to the stage, and he turned out to be just like his name, like a piece of paper, but extremely huge. This white tablet-like monster has limbs and a mouth. But from the side, it is just a piece of paper about 10 centimeters thick, and I don't know how it evolved. Senior Taejin was very sorry that I couldn't fight you just now, but you still have a chance to fight. Please give me some guidance this time. Jia Yan said lightly. Although his voice was respectful to the strong, it did not contain much humility. The paper monster was about 1 kilometer long and wide, covering the entire starry sky. Oh? Well, let me see your strength first. Zika nodded. There was not much communication between the two sides. After the referee announced the start of the fight, Jia Yan launched the attack. Jia Yan entered the subspace, moved his body to the left side of the opponent's huge body, and then stabbed out with one foot. But his attack was blocked by the paper card with his short fingers. Jia Yan, your attack power is a bit weak. Zika calmly pinched Jia Yan's forefoot and wanted to break it suddenly, but found that it was impossible to do it. A dark blue color appeared on Jia Yan's pierced front feet. Under this color, his front feet were as hard as steel. Senior Zika, your strength is a bit weak. It can be said to be a newspaper for this world. What Zika just said to Jia Yan was copied by Jia Yan and slapped in the face. You. Zika's demeanor changed, and he stretched out the palm of his paper-like body, wanting to use two palms to see if he could tear Jia Yan's body apart. But how could Jia Yan obey? If you can't compare in strength, then use foreign objects. Boom. A terrifying suction force appeared around Zika's body. Jia Yan originally just used the power of looking at black holes, but when the suction force of the artificial black hole appeared, his eyes suddenly lit up. It turned out that this paper card was indeed like a piece of paper. Even though it was extremely huge, it was flat and light in weight. The force of the black hole suddenly attracted him, and he was sucked in so hard that his whole body staggered. At the same time, he grabbed Jia Yan's knuckles and let go. Jia Yan took this opportunity to fly up, and then he suddenly figured out in his mind that this was the weakness of the paper card. Every creature and every strong person has weaknesses, even Jia Yan is no exception. It's just a matter of whether the weaknesses can provide opportunities for others to take advantage of. Others see the weakness of Zhika's body and can't do anything about it, but Jia Yan has an artificial black hole and can take advantage of this weakness. Boom boom. A strange light flashed in Jia Yan's eyes. When a black hole suction force appeared, he didn't give up. He actually used his brainwave power to open another black hole subspace gap. Ah! The card looked shocked. It turned out that the black hole gap opened by Jia Yan first had caused his slender body to tilt to a large extent. Jia Yan once again used his brainwave power to open another black hole space gap. He suddenly felt until another suction force emerged on the other side of his body. The paper card body has a huge disadvantage, that is, like paper, it is easy to tear. Pippy. A sound of cracking appeared at the top of the card's body. As long as the tearing force was stronger, it could be torn in half like paper, from beginning to end. This. The onlookers were speechless. They also knew that Zhika's body was relatively fragile, but no one had the ability to tear Zhika apart in one go. However, if only a small hole was pierced, Zhika would have a special kind of recovery, able to quickly restore one's body. But now Jia Yan actually used that special power to tear this great enemy apart. Jia Yan, I admit defeat. The paper card squeaked a few times before giving in under the tremendous pressure on his body. Holy crap! This Jia Yan is incredible. I actually won another round, and also won the predicted 11th place head-on. The surrounding players were really speechless. They clearly felt that Jia Yan's brainwave power was only a venerable, and at most a low-level powerhouse. However, he used strange fighting moves again and again, and extremely terrifying learning ability, defeating half-star players. This couldn't help but make them not take Jia Yan seriously. And the surrounding audience, who were so accustomed to Jia Yan's evil deeds, now thought that no matter what Jia Yan did, it was shady. Shadow again. Bastard Jia Yan, the weapons he used must be illegal. There must be a strong person in the subspace helping him in the subspace. That's right, Lord Shady, get us out of the sacred stage of genius battle, get out. That's right, get out, get out, get out. Get out, get out, get out, get out. When Jia Yan came off the stage, every player looked at Jia Yan solemnly, but there were constant curses in the audience. Even Jia Yan couldn't bear the chorus-like shouts of thousands of people. Mother, what is this? The more you win, the more you get scolded. Isn't it that I'm a bit of a genius and a bit unnatural, so I provoke you to mess with you? Ask me not to win, I just want to win, just wait. Jia Yan was also cursing in his heart, but he didn't dare to curse out loud. He was afraid of being beaten by the masses. But when Taejin greeted Jia Yan again, his eyes were different. It turns out that he has always regarded Jia Yan as his junior, and Jia Yan has always been called his senior. But this time Jia Yan actually won the card. You must know that his strength is not much different from that of Taejin. If Jia Yan can beat him, he might also be able to beat Taejin, so he wants to let him show it in front of Jia Yan again. It is really difficult to show the image of a senior. Your Excellency Jia Yan, you are indeed hiding your secrets. Taejin greeted Jia Yan and his tone became much more respectful. Senior, I'm just lucky. Jia Yan was not unhappy with Taejin, and he did help Jia Yan a lot along the way, especially since Jia Yan was not as strong as he is now, and he even defended him. Jia Yan has many benefits and can be described as a mentor and helpful friend, so Jia Yan now treats him as a senior. Haha, I was lucky in one game, but I am not lucky in 2 or 3 games. Taejin shook his head and smiled bitterly. Okay, in the next battle, there are some opponents that I will not be able to defeat even with all the difficulties. Yes, I am not qualified to advise you to admit defeat now, so you can know for yourself. Taejin knew that he could no longer understand Jia Yan's strength. I dare not persuade Jia Yan to admit defeat. Thanks to Book Friends 392548 and a generation of bookworms for their tips, thank you.